welcome to this video, which is a Yin Yoga session to stretch really deeply into the hips and the legs especially. So we're gonna release a lot of tension and stagnant energy, and Yin Yoga means that we're gonna hold each pose for a little bit longer, which can be quite intense, but try to stay with it. You have the most amazing location in the background. I'm currently in Skagen, which is the most northern part of Denmark, and I hope you're gonna enjoy it. Let's get started. There's nothing you need apart from a mat.
And we're gonna get started in an extended child's pose. So bring your knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch, hips onto the heels, and then let's walk the hands long in front so that we can melt the forehead onto the mat. Closing your eyes and starting to arrive on your mat. Feeling your body melting down. Feeling a gentle opening of the hips here. And then start to notice your breath. Becoming aware of how your breath is moving right now. If your breaths are long or short, deep or shallow. And we're gonna bring more depth to our breathing. So let's take deeper inhales in through the nose and deeper exhales out through the nose. So the lips stay sealed. We're breathing through the nose only, and we're finding expansion through the rib cage all the way down into the belly with every inhale. And we're gonna release all the stale air out again with the exhale. Developing a rhythm of breath that feels good, that you can maintain throughout our practice, but that is still deep. So we still want to find some depth here to start calming down our nervous system and to really signal to the body that we're in the safe space that we are, so that we're not in the fight or flight mode. We don't have to be aware what's happening around us. We're fully tuning in and entering our rest and digest mode. I invite you also to set an intention for our practice here together. And the intention I would suggest is to be kind towards yourself in this practice, because so often we tend to be so negative and then just talk in a way to our bodies and ourselves in such a nasty and mean way. And I want you to become aware of the way you're speaking with yourself. Now let's slowly rise up, walking the hands back towards you, coming into our tabletop position with the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and just finding some gentle movements of the hips from side to side. So intuitively starting to move into the body here, whatever feels good. So just moving it out. And then let's come into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes and lift your hips up. And again, finding a little bit of movement, bending the knees, pedaling the feet, moving the hips, to just feel into the body first. Noticing, where are you tight today? Maybe you're a little bit sore, or maybe your body feels tired, maybe it doesn't. Just noticing. And then we're gonna meet in stillness and bring the right knee to the right elbow and step the right foot to the outside of the right palm, keeping the left knee lifted and just shifting forwards and backwards on the left toes, straightening the left leg, finding length in the left hip flexor in our runner's lunge. Start to draw a circle into the hip now. And then we're gonna lower the left knee down, untuck the left toes, And either stay on your palms or lower down onto your forearms for our lizard pose. And we're gonna stay here for some time. You can soften your neck, relax the head, and start to surrender to the stretch in the left hip flexor, the inner right thigh. If your knee is falling to the right, that's totally fine. Just make sure that also your toes are then pointing to the right. So we want to keep the knee in line with the toes. So maybe you can roll onto the outer blade of the right foot. And try to come back to your breath. Are you still maintaining your deep and steady inhales and exhales through your nose? If your knee is still drawing in, I now want you to open the knee out to the right. So drawing the knee to the right, rolling onto the outer blade of the right foot, and then again surrendering down into the stretch, having a little deeper sensation now on the outer hip. And if this is giving you a very intense sensation, try to breathe through it. I know it can be just so tough, especially if the stretch is really deep, but the breath is our tool here to stay in the discomfort. This is the place where change is gonna happen, when we stay in the discomfort. Of course, I never want you to feel any kind of pain. If you feel pain, then please come out of the pose, but if it's just uncomfortable, then try and stay with it. We're also now more than halfway through, and you have the option to integrate a quad stretch by reaching the right arm back, bending the left knee and getting hold of the left foot, drawing the heel towards your butt cheek, feeling the stretch on the left quad, and breathing fully. One more breath in here. And with the exhale, slowly let go of the foot, releasing it back down into the mat. And then bring the right knee back into our tabletop position. And again, maybe moving the hips from side to side or drawing circles with the hips. Anything to release the tension from your hips here. Maybe coming into a child's pose. And then we're gonna move back into our downward facing dog. So lift your hips back up. We're gonna set up for the other side. So bring the left knee to your left elbow and step the foot to the outside of the left palm, staying high on the right toes with the right knee lifted and starting to rock forwards and backwards, straightening the right leg. And then start to draw circles into the hip one way and the other. And let's lower the right knee down, untuck the right toes. Either stay on your palms or lower down onto your forearms. Relaxing the neck, soften your face. Notice if you're maybe clenching your jaw. So softening anything that doesn't have to be tensed up here. And we're gonna return to our breath. Steady and deep inhales in. And full, complete exhales out. Noticing where the mind is taking you. And coming back to our intention of being kind to yourself. Now let's let the left knee open out to the left side, rolling onto the outer blade of the left foot. And surrendering back to the stretch, breathing through any discomfort. The mind always wants to give up first before the body does. So if your mind tells you right now to come out of this pose, remind yourself that your body can do much more than the mind thinks. So stay with it. We're also more than halfway already. Now you have the option to go for the quad stretch by reaching the left arm back, bending the right knee and getting hold of the right foot, drawing the right heel down, stretching deeply into the top of the right thigh. Full breath in, full breath out. One more breath in here. And with the exhale, slowly let go of the right foot. Come back onto your palms if you were on the forearms and step the left knee back to the right. And find any movement here to release tension from your hips. And the next pose that we're gonna do is frog pose, which is quite an intense stretch for the inner thighs. Come to the long side of your mat and bring the knees as wide apart as possible. The inner arches of the feet are flat in the mat and we have a 90-degree angle in the knees. And we can either stay on the palms here, or you can also lower down onto your forearms. And then we want to find a little bit of a rock forward and backward to find the deepest version of the stretch. So try to find your sweet spot here where you can feel the stretch the most. And usually it's when we shift the hips a bit further back. And then of course we want to stay there where we feel it the most. So go to your maximum depth and then try to surrender into the stretch, softening your face and breathing deeply into your inner thighs. And we are halfway through the pose. If your body is screaming and telling you to get out of the pose, try to stay with it. Breathing deeply, full inhales, feel your rib cage expand, breathing all the way down into your belly, and then find full and deep exhales. One more round of breath, inhale in. And with the exhale, start to lift yourself back up, first bringing your heels together and then slowly bringing the knees back together and just shifting the hips onto the heels. You can shimmy the hips from side to side, releasing all the tension. And then move your hips to the left and straighten the right leg long, bringing the left sole of the foot to your inner right thigh. Setting up for our side stretch, you can bring the right palm on the inside of the leg or onto your left knee and sweep the left arm alongside the left ear, reaching towards the right foot. And you don't have to touch your foot at all, but if you can reach your foot, you're welcome to just bring both hands to your foot and relax your head here. But if not, just keep the left arm alongside your ear, finding length through the whole left side body here. And trying to relax the head and the neck, so not holding onto unnecessary tension. And try as best as possible to keep the left shoulder drawing back so that the chest is facing up towards the ceiling and we're not totally like collapsing forward and down, but that we open up, feeling expansion. Taking 3 more deep breaths wherever you are. Last inhale in, and with the exhale rise back up, and then find a little counter stretch. So bring the left palm down, reach the right arm over, and we're gonna switch sides, so extending the left leg long to the side, bring the right sole of the foot to your inner left thigh, and set it up how it works best for you. Maybe bringing the left palm down on the inside of your leg, or you can also bring the left hand onto your right knee, and then reach the right arm up and over, maybe bringing your hands to your foot, maybe not. And relaxing the head, drawing the right shoulder back, opening your chest up towards the ceiling, and surrendering to the pose and to the stretch in the full side body. We are almost done. We're going to take our last 3 deep breaths. Take your last inhale in. And exhale, rising up. Little counter stretch over to the right. And we are going to find our wide straddle, so bringing the legs as wide apart as possible, keeping the feet flexed, so try to keep the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. And if you feel like you're totally rounding here in the spine and it's super hard to sit upright, that's completely normal. But what you can do is that you grab a pillow or something to put underneath your hips to just find a little bit more height. If you are fine sitting up tall, then you can find a bit more depth, maybe walking the hands a bit forward, lowering down onto the forearms, and slowly going deeper. So try to first feel it out. And if you feel like, okay, your muscles are opening up, then you can take it deeper and deeper. But always taking it one step at a time. So notice also now, how are you talking to yourself? Because especially this pose can really be challenging. And if already just sitting up tall is tough, we're often starting why are we so inflexible? Why are we so bad at this? And so on and on. And when I started practicing yoga, this was my absolute hate pose. I couldn't even sit upright. And it just comes with time. We just need to spend more time in the pose and give it the time it needs. And just be gentle and kind to ourselves. We are more than halfway through, so stay with it. Take a full breath in and exhale, coming up and using your hands maybe to bring the legs back together, and just windshield vibrating the legs from side to side. So just let the knees drop from left to right, releasing the tension. And then let's cross the ankles, roll over the knees, coming back onto all fours to return to our downward facing dog. So lifting the hips up. We are going to move into pigeon pose. So bring now the right knee into your chest and place the right shin down into the mat, extending the left leg long behind you. And then let's set up the pose so that we can feel our sweet spot. So moving the right heel away from your pubic bone and coming onto your fingertips, squaring off the hips, left hip forward, right hip back. And from there we're gonna start to fold over the shin, melting the arms down, the forehead down into the mat. Noticing if there's any sensitivity in the right knee. We never want to feel any discomfort or pain in the knee. So if that's the case, please come out of the pose and instead find a seated figure 4 like I'm showing you here. So that's the best alternative if pigeon pose doesn't feel good for you, because the figure 4 gives you the same stretch. And wherever you are, try to relax the whole body, softening any tension in the outer right hip and deepening your breath. And we are halfway through. If you want to intensify the stretch more, if you feel like you can deepen the pose, then try to draw the left hip forward and down and the right hip back. But maybe you don't want to intensify anything, then just stay where you are and connect with your breath. Notice where your mind is going and bringing it back to your breathing. One last breath in, and with the exhale we're starting to lift back up, gently tucking the left toes under to lift the hips up and stepping the right foot back into our downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the feet a little bit, moving into the hips. And then let's go to the other side. So bring the left shin forward and down. Straighten the right leg out behind you and then move the left heel away from you. Setting up for this stretch, finding the sweet spot, coming onto the fingertips, squaring off the hips, right hip forward, left hip back, and melting down, lowering the forehead down into the mat or onto your palms. And it's completely normal if the left side feels totally different than the right. But if you feel any pain or sensitivity or a pinch or something like that in your left knee, then come out and find your figure 4. I'll show it to you here again so you know what it looks like and what to do. And it's really a great alternative. So no problem at all if you cannot do the pigeon pose. So find your version and then let go of anything around you, any tensions, going fully inside the body and just trying to surrender. And we are halfway. Again, if you want to just notch it up a little bit, then you can draw the right hip forward and down and the left hip back, or you stay wherever you are, coming back to your breath, deepening the breath and staying with it. taking our last round of breath in this pose. Inhale in and exhale. Press into your palms to slowly lift back up. And we're now just gonna roll onto the outer left hip to swing the right leg in front, straightening out both legs to set up for our forward fold Paschimottanasana. You can also shake it out a little bit. And then remove any fleshy bits from underneath the sit bones. And with the inhale, reach your arms up, find length in your spine. And with the exhale, folding forward, bringing the stomach to the thighs, forehead to the shins. There is no need to keep the legs straight. You can bring a bend into your knees to find that stomach to thigh connection. And then try to relax your neck, soften your spine, and stretching deeply into the back sides of the legs here, into the hamstrings. And the depth will come with time. So flexibility just really takes time, and the more we do the pose, the more we stretch into the legs, the more flexible they will get. So I also really recommend you to do this class or any other class regularly. So maybe especially with a yin class, if you could do it once a week, that would be really good. Now let's rise back up. We will do our last and final pose, Shavasana. If you want to grab some clothes or a blanket or something, then you can go and get that now, and we'll meet back on our mats, setting up for our final resting pose. And don't skip your Shavasana. It's said to be the most important pose in yoga because it allows the body to seize in all the benefits from the practice. So now let's come and lie down on our back. And first, let's hug the knees into the chest, rocking a bit from side to side. And then draw your forehead to your knees, hug your forearms around the shins to curl yourself up into a tiny little ball. One more breath in. And with the exhale, release your body down into the mat, extending your legs wide, your arms wide, having your palms face up towards the ceiling and letting your feet drop to the sides. Closing down your eyes if you haven't already. And starting to let go of any effort. Inviting softness and ease into your body. And then bring your awareness to your third eye point on your forehead, between the eyebrows. And start to soften that area. So relaxing your forehead, the eyebrows, the eyelids, your cheeks, your nose, the lips, and the jaw. Feeling how your whole face starts to soften and relax. And then bringing the awareness into your neck, your chest, the collarbones, the shoulder blades, the shoulder girdles, the upper arms, elbows, forearms, and all the way down into your palms and the fingertips. Feeling all these parts of your body melting down into the mat, relaxing and softening. From here we're gonna move into the stomach and feeling your whole spine resting in your mat, feeling the upper, middle, lower spine all the way down into your sacrum. Start to feel into your hips. Feel the glutes melting down into the mat. And let's travel further down into the thighs, feeling into the tops of the thighs, the backs, and into the kneecaps. Further down into the shins and the calf muscles, the ankles, all the way down into the tops of the feet, the soles of the feet, into the toes, and feeling now your whole body completely relaxed, soft, without any tension. And we're slowly gonna bring movement back into the body, moving the ankles and the toes, reaching the arms up above the head, finding a full body stretch. And then hug the knees into your chest and roll onto your right side, using the right arm as a pillow for your head. Taking one more moment here to thank your body for the practice, for being so healthy. And with the eyes still closed, we're slowly gonna lift ourselves back up, coming back to our cross-legged seat with the eyes closed. And then bring your hands in front of the heart. And we're gonna lift the hands up to our third eye point between the eyebrows on the forehead for clear and kind thoughts. Lower your hands in front of the lips to speak kind words. And then bring your hands back to heart center to feel and give love and kindness. Thank you so much for choosing to practice with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your feedback in the comments. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. And one last thing, if you have the time right now to do any other video, then you can try, for example, my last video, which was a hip opening class. And I'd love to see you around here, so hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye bye.